everyone, welcome back. I'm Dai, and today I'm sharing with you my first impressions on the Monochrome Manga Club selections for September. The Monochrome Manga Club is an in-real-life manga club that I host at a local Barnes & Noble, where we read 2 first-in-a-series selections, and we're currently doing 2 full series reads. So our selections for the month of September were Volume 1 of Manga Dogs by Emma Toyama. This one is published by Kodansha, and I believe it's rated teen. I don't actually have a physical copy on me, but I'm pretty sure it's rated teen. We also read Volume 1 of A Galaxy Next Door by Guido Amagakure. This one is published by Kodansha, rated older teen. But if you had listened to my previous First Impressions video when I introduced this, the Kodansha website now actually says this is rated teen. In reading this volume, I would also say this is probably rated teen. So, just so that you know, the back of this volume does say it's rated older teen. And then the 2 series that we are currently reading are Delicious in Dungeon, which we have just finished. We read volumes 13 and 14. That one is by Ryokokui, published by Yen Press, rated teen. And then we're also reading Assassination Classroom with volumes 17 and 18. This one is by Yusei Matsui, published by Viz, rated older teen. As we are not in the beginning of either of those series, I will not be sharing my thoughts with you on those volumes, but if you're interested in hearing what I thought of them, you can listen to my Desus 19 diaries for the week. So without further ado, let's get into my thoughts on the first of our 2 first-in-a-series selections. We'll start off with Manga Dogs by Emma Toyama. So this particular series is about a high school manga club, and our main female character joins the manga club, and she is actually a published mangaka already, and she's kind of looking around and she thinks, oh, this is going to be a great opportunity for me to just like draw my panels during club time because it's pretty empty in there, until 3 of the boys in the club come up to her and ask her to be their senpai. And so this volume kind of just follows how those boys kind of get her to teach them how to create manga. Now, I've read a couple volumes of Missions of Love by Emma Toyama, and she also is the mangaka for Vampire Dormitory, which I have watched the anime adaptation of, and I have read a couple volumes of as well. I will say that I prefer those 2 series to what I read in this one. Now, I believe this is Emma Toyama's debut series, so that might be why I didn't enjoy it as much. I don't know, I just kind of felt kind of meh about this volume. There wasn't really anything but shenanigans kind of going on, and the male characters, though they seem kind of serious about the fact that they want to pursue learning how to draw manga, they're kind of silly. And when I say silly, to me they seemed over the top silly. They were a bit awkward in like the way that they converse with people in the manga. And if I had not read any of Emma Toyama's work prior to reading this series, I'm not sure I'd want to read any more of her work. It was just that kind of strange to me. I definitely enjoyed like the whole like aspect of them being in a club, and they do actually get a teacher in there that tries to teach them techniques, but there was a lot of like hijinks and kind of more comedic situations going on rather than it being a serious kind of story about learning how to produce a manga and having this character who's already a published mangaka share her knowledge and things with these boys. And so, yeah, I didn't enjoy this one too much. It was okay. It wasn't terrible. But I did end up having to borrow a copy of this volume from my local library through the Hoopla app. So if you're not aware, most, I think, libraries offer a digital service called Hoopla. You should definitely see if your library does offer this digital service, because they do offer audiobooks, TV shows, movies, ebooks, as well as graphic novels and manga. Their manga selection is getting bigger and bigger every time that I go in there, and they have a lot of Tokyo Pop and Kodansha titles right now. And so if you're interested in a way to read manga from your library without having to go to your library, it's a great resource for digital manga. So I'm glad that I was able to borrow a copy of the manga through that service. This is definitely not going to be one of those series that I add to my collection. However, because it is available for me through my library, I will probably read the next volume and see what I feel. Sometimes first volumes can be not that great. Perfect example was Delicious in Dungeon for me. If I had just read that first volume and not read the next one, I wouldn't have continued that series, which is kind of why I like to give series like a couple or 3 volumes most of the time. But yeah, this one was just okay for me. I'm glad I was able to borrow it from my library, and I will be seeing what the next volume holds to see if it gives me any more interest in finishing it, because this is only a 3-volume series, and I have a feeling that even if the next volume is kind of meh for me also, I will probably still read the 3rd one just to finish the series and have a full view of the story that she had planned to put out. Let's talk about A Galaxy Next Door now. So this is a story about a mangaka. He is taking care of his younger siblings. You can kind of see them here. There's kind of a big age difference between them. Their father just passed away, and so he's kind of having to be the sole provider of the family, and with his job being a mangaka, he's trying to make that all happen with just being a mangaka. And he had a hit. He's working on his next one, but he can't seem to keep his assistants. They all seem to be moving on to bigger and better things and getting opportunities in the field. And so he is alone at the point of the story where this starts, and he really, really needs an assistant. And he just so happens to get a lead on an assistant, and she is everything that he could ask for. She's new in the industry, but she has definite skills and makes his job easier. The best assistant that he's had. After they're able to get their job in and submitted, an accident occurs and it ties them together. And so the story kind of follows what happens after that accident, how it affects his life and their relationship. And so I kind of feel like the summary of what's printed on this volume is a little bit misleading. Now, definitely things that had happened in the summary happened, but when I read the summary, I kind of felt like things were going to happen differently, and I was not prepared for the way the accident came about. And so that kind of twisted everything for me and made the story feel strange. I kind of wish that the way that the accident came about was a bit different. It definitely just made things a little bit weird. And I really enjoyed the beginning of the story where they're working on the manga, working on the timeline, trying to get things done so that it can get submitted on time. I enjoyed the process of what they were doing and how they were like forming this working relationship. But almost immediately in this volume, the whole romantic kind of situation takes over, and that is what this story is about. And I thought that it came about too quickly. There wasn't much lead up to it, and how, you know, they figure out what they're going to do after this relationship, how it's going to work between them, how things work based on the things we learn about a female character throughout this volume. I just feel like the romance element is just a bit too quick, and I didn't enjoy that. I much prefer the story where we have more of the manga elements and creating that, and his two siblings and how they're, growing up with him, and how his job is one of those where it's so consuming that these kids are also kind of taking care of their big brother. I liked that. I liked the family element, but the whole speed into the romantic element of this series, I didn't enjoy. I kind of couldn't believe the quickness at how feelings are expressed by the end of this volume. And yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting. Definitely different to me from how I interpreted the summary of the back of this volume, which again is something that I don't normally do, is read summaries. I like to get real condensed descriptions of series, because I feel like sometimes summaries not only can be misleading, which is how I felt with this one, but they could also be too spoilery and give away too much, which I don't feel like this summary does. But the way I felt at the end of this volume, I will say, was more disappointment than anything. I do have another volume of this series, so I'm going to see what that makes me feel after reading it. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed with how this volume went. It started off great. I really enjoyed, like I said, the family stuff, and seeing the process of the manga in the making. I'm kind of hoping to see more of that as we go through the series, at least into the next volume, because that's what I have, and that it won't be so focused on the whole relationship between the two characters. So yeah, it was okay. And so yeah, both of the volume ones for me this month were just okay. Truthfully, a little bit disappointing. Manga Dogs was a series that I had been interested in because I had read other series from Emma Toyama and enjoyed them, and that was just okay for me. And then this one, I haven't read any of the other work by Giro Amagakure, like Sweetness and Lightning, which is referenced on the back of this volume, but I did want to, and I think I still will, because that seems more like a slice of life, whereas Galaxy Next Door is more kind of sci-fi romance to slice of life. And so yeah, we'll see how I feel after volume 2s of both of these series. And it was just an okay month for me. So with that being said, let me tell you what we will be reading for the month of October. So I had picked this particular volume up at the Barnes & Noble when we had gone for our previous manga club meeting the month prior, and thought it might be interesting to read. So we're going to be reading volume 1 of Watch Dogs Tokyo by Seiichi Shirato and Shuhei Kamo. This one is published by Tokyo Pop, rated teen. So this is a story about the Tokyo metropolitan government getting a new urban infrastructure management system, which is kind of sounds like it's like a computer system that's supposed to improve citizens' lives, but there's secrets behind its creation. And so an inspector decides to do some off-the-books sleuthing to kind of understand what this program is and kind of what it's got its grips on as far as its operation. And it looks like it has grips on the government as well as the police department, which kind of makes it understandable why he's doing it off the books. But he kind of realizes that because of what's going on, he needs to think outside the box, and he starts working with a group of vigilante hackers to try to uncover the secrets. So I thought that sounded really interesting. It kind of sounds like thriller, kind of crime. It says it's sci-fi. And so, yeah, sounds very interesting, and I'm looking forward to this one. So this is Watch Dogs Tokyo Volume 1. And then the other Volume 1 that we will be reading is Glitch, which is by Shima Shinya. This one is published by Yen Press, rated teen. So this one is about two siblings who move to a new town, and they see ghostly figures towering over buildings, pass through buildings, and none of the locals seem to react to them. So when one of the siblings sees a strange creature outside her window, she kind of grabs her friends and starts to organize a search. But nobody can explain the uncanny appearances, and so she starts an investigation club with these friends to get to the bottom of it. So it sounds kind of spoopy. I think that's the word for it, where it's like cute but a little bit spooky. Definitely kind of more supernatural, and it kind of gives the vibes of, October reading. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what this one's all about. The art style is definitely a little bit more different from what I'm used to. This is a black and white comic though, so looking forward to reading this one. On top of that, we will be continuing with our series read of Assassination Classroom. We will be finishing this one in the month of October, so we will be reading volumes 19, 20, and 21 to finish that series. And then because we finished Delicious in Dungeon in September, we will be starting a new series. And so several of our club members have been asking to read the first volume of this series, and I just thought, you know what, we'll just read it as a series read, because it should be completed soon, if not already completed. But we will be reading Tokyo Revengers. So this one is by Ken Wakui, published by 7 Seas, rated older teen. This is the omnibus edition. We will be reading 2 volumes a month. So this is about a guy who learns his girlfriend was killed, I think, and he ends up time traveling to the past to try to save her. And I think he was part of a gang way back when. And so I've heard really great things about this series. I know several of the people that I've watched talk about this series really enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to seeing what I think. And so we will be starting Tokyo Revengers in October. So if you'd like to join us on any of the reads that we will be reading in October, please feel free to. You can either talk to me about your thoughts on these selections in the comments of videos like these, or you can join our Discord and chat with the members of my manga club as well. I will leave a link to that Discord down in the description box below. And I think that's pretty much going to do it for me today. So let me know down in the comments below if you will be joining us in October, or if you have read any of the titles that I talked about today, or the titles that we will be reading, but please no spoilers. And if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a fantasy type emoji. I'm not sure if there's a dragon. There might be. If there's a dragon, leave me a dragon or any other fantasy emoji for Delicious in Dungeon being completed by our club this month. That would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.